I saw Uncle Emeka that night. But he wasn't alive. Uncle Emeka was always strange. He lived at the edge of our village, a man who hardly spoke. He never married, never smiled unless something bad happened. If someone's crops died, you'd catch him grinning. If a child got hurt, there'd be that crooked smile again. Everyone said he had a wicked spirit. When my father died suddenly last year, people whispered that it was Uncle Emeka's doing. But no one could prove anything, so we left it alone. My mother was scared of him, I could tell. She never let us visit him, even when he sent gifts, small things like roasted yams or palm wine. One night, something strange happened. It was pitch black outside, not even the moon was out. I was about to sleep when I heard a soft knock on the door. My mother froze. I was scared too, because no one knocks that late at night. We lived far from the other houses, on the edge of the forest. Whoever was knocking, they were coming from deep within the woods. "Don't answer it," my mother whispered. Her eyes were wide, and I could hear her breath getting faster. But the knocking continued. Soft, slow, almost polite, but in a way that made my skin crawl. My mother and I just stared at the door, not moving. I could feel the fear creeping up my spine. After a while, the knocking stopped. We sat there, silent, listening to the night. Then I heard it. Something like dragging. Like someone was pulling something heavy along the ground outside the house. I crept to the window, moving so quietly my mother didn't even notice. I peeked out. There was Uncle Emeka. Only, something was wrong. His face was pale, even in the darkness, and his eyes, they were wide open, staring at nothing. He was dragging a heavy sack, pulling it along the dirt with one hand. I couldn't look away from his hand. It was twisted, like his fingers had been broken and healed wrong. The sack left a trail behind him, and for a second, I thought I saw it move. My stomach turned. I ran back to my mother, shaking her, trying to tell her what I saw, but the words wouldn't come out. I could only stammer. My heart was racing, and I felt cold all over. She grabbed me by the shoulders, forcing me to look at her. "What did you see?" she asked, her voice low and firm. But I couldn't say anything. I just pointed at the window. She slowly stood up and looked outside. When she turned back to me, her face was pale. She pulled me close and whispered in my ear, "He's dead. Uncle Emeka died yesterday. They buried him at dawn." I'll never forget how cold her voice sounded when she said that. It was like the air around us froze. My blood ran cold. But he was right there. I saw him. For the rest of the night, we didn't speak. My mother locked all the doors and windows, and we sat in the dark, listening. I could still hear that dragging sound, moving further and further away into the woods. The next day, the village elders found something in the forest, near Uncle Emeka's grave. They wouldn't tell us what, but I overheard one of them talking to my mother later. Something about a sack and bones. Something about witchcraft. We moved away from the village soon after that. My mother never spoke about it again. But I remember. I remember that crooked smile, and the way he dragged that sack like it was nothing. I don't know what was in it. And I don't want to know.